Ah, yes, it's my favorite time of night. The time of night where I can't sleep and the patch notes are out. So let's go over the patch notes real quick. This is going to be for patch 7.01. For those of you who are hoping I was going to go through patch 7.0, I have a finite lifespan. I can't spend 6 days reading all those patch notes. I'm sorry. I mean, honestly, the 7.0 patch notes were the expansions out. Good luck. But 7.01, the Arcadian is now out. We will find it at Solution 9. It's going to be at X19, Y18.8. I don't know where that is because the game's down for maintenance. I am going to assume that it's over in the entertainment district. We'll find out though. I don't trust this little Lalafell. I'm sorry, but a Lalafell with that pink of hair, that kind of mustache, and that hat. You're up to something. I don't know what, but we're going to uncover it. But in any case, it's going to be pretty obvious. Introduction quest. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, conclusion. Shocker, I know. New orchestration roles added. I guarantee you, they're all going to be related to the Arcadian. New triple triad cards added. I'm willing to bet they're going to be related to the Arcadian. Battle systems. Here's what's been tweaked. We're actually seeing a lot on, I think, every warrior. Yep, every warrior saw, in fact, a bunch of increased enmity. Total equipped and prominence. I'm pretty sure that's their 2 AoEs. I don't have it in front of me. Now give increased enmity. Marauder and warrior. I know this for a fact. Overpower Mithril Tempest. That's their 1-2 AoE combo. Enmity increased. Primal Rend. You now only have 20 seconds to do Primal Rend instead of 30. Honestly, to be perfectly honest, as cute as it is to save Primal Rend and use it as a gap closer, just don't. Just use it as early as possible. Have it fall into a nice, cute little 2 or 1 minute window. Maximize your potency. Primal Ruination. This is the cartoon axe attack that follows up Primal Rend. 40 more potency. I don't know if I really needed it. Warrior, I want to say, is second best tank right now as far as DPS. So it didn't really need a potency up, but it got it for reasons. Dark Knight had Unleash, Stalwart Soul, and Shadow Stride. These are all their AoE skills. Wait. I think, isn't Shadow Stride their new gap closer? Yeah, Shadow Stride and Trajectory, they're both their gap closers. So the gap closers will now have an increased MD. I'll tell you what. Tapping into Dark Knight for Omni Job, finding it was super awkward shadow striding, monsters being like dum-de-dum-de-dum, and then not reacting until I did Unleash. It felt weird. I'm not gonna lie, it felt super weird. Hopefully, this increased MD on Shadow Stride and Trajectory fixes this, and Gunbreaker, Demon Slice, and Demon Slaughter also have increased MD. I don't recognize those names. Maybe those are upgrades to their 1-2 AoE names, or maybe I'm just forgetful. Either are possible. Monk. Holy fuck. It's the first patch of the expansion, and already we got a brand new monk. Is that just what Dawn Trail is going to be? The count of how many new monks we get? Now, our current count is new monks 2. True Strike had its potency increased. Snap Punch had its potency increased. Twin Snakes had its potency. I mean, a whole bunch of potency tweaks and fixes. And they're all relatively minor. I think the biggest note one is Tornado Kick going from 850 to 1200. What is Phantom Rush at, I wonder? I legit don't remember what it's at. but whole bunch of potency gains. Dragon Kick, stacks of Oppo's Warrior are now only granted while in Oppo form. So opening with Dragon Kick no longer does anything. Oh wait, I think you could always use Formless Stance and get into that. That should work. Unfortunately, Monk's one of those that I'm still kind of learning. I don't know it all that well, and quite frankly, going into the tail end of Endwalker, my motivation to learn Monk diminished drastically when I realized they're just going to give us a brand new Monk. And then the Meteor came out, and I was right. We got a brand new Monk. So, you know, there's that. So, bunch of potency increases. Monk, I'm very curious to see how well Monk's now going to compare to the rest of the melee. Samurai had two of their new skills get reduced to a single GCD for their recast time? I'm confused. I'm not sure which ones these are either. I assume they were new cast time ones, but their recast timers being reduced. This is the problem with doing this late at night. I have no idea what the flying flock I'm talking about. Viper. This was the biggest bit of contention. We all heard that Viper was getting... They said, like... What was the exact word? I actually want to go ahead and get the thing. What was the exact word they said? It's the illustration. Regards to upcoming job adjustments. Here we go. The exact language they used was the easing of directional requirements. We're actually be seeing those in 7.05. So I guess we'll see in the raid, in the normal raids, how much they're willing to go ahead and tweak that. Oh, in fact, they even said we intend to make some smaller adjustments to the range of certain abilities in 7.01. All right. That's actually not that big and major. So a bunch of their skills went to five yalms instead of 3. Oh God, I could not even tell you how much that adjusts. How I assume that means they can get decently further away and hit their positionals. They're probably going to make sure they can maintain uptime during ins and outs. I don't know if 3 yalms is enough to maintain max melee and be out of range of most outs. Black Mage, Umbral Soul now learnable at 35. So here's what's hilarious. For those who don't understand what Black Mages are talking about and why they're griping and groaning, there's 2 major things that actually are that Black Mages are absolutely livid with. First off, the way they would regen mana is that when they switch to their ice phase, their normal MP ticks would now just restore like 80% of their MP in like one shot. So you do 2 GCDs and you're basically at full MP and you switch back to your fire phase and keep going. Okay. Now, in ice phase, your MP regen is now perfectly normal, but instead your ice moves restore MP. This is both Blizzard 3 and Blizzard 4. So the normal thing to do right now, as far as I'm aware, not an expert in Black Mage, but I know enough to follow most conversations. Just don't come to me as any sort of Black Mage authority. I am not. I'm smart enough in Black Mage to know that I am not ready for high-end Black Mage. I know that much for sure, but I know enough to tell you that you would just go in after your fire phase, switch with Blizzard 3, you'd go ahead and cast your Thunder spell, cast your Blizzard 4, and then switch back to your fire phase with Fire 3. You, of course, can tweak this with weaving in some Xenoglossies if you got them. Weave in your, and I say weave, but I mean those are GCDs, so, you know, use them and then move for a full GCD. You can go ahead and get in your, oh yeah, and Thunder now is always instacast. So that's always a free instacast you can use. But you get the idea, right? There's also your tricasts and whatnot. No big deal. But when you're in downtime and there's no target, the only way to get MP is with Umbral Soul. Umbral Soul restores. Umbral Soul, all it did before was give you 1 tick of Umbral Ice and give you 1 tick of Umbral Heart. To which then you just use it 3 times, get up to 3 of each, and then just keep spamming it pretty much every 5 to 10 seconds as you're moving between pulls to make sure you have max mana, as well as keeping Enochian rolling. You want Enochian rolling because it means that you're going to get more Xenoglossies. However, at low end Black Mage, if bosses went away for a bit and you had downtime, well, guess what? You can't regen any mana. You're going to drop Enochian, and you're going to be a very sad mage wondering why Yoshi P has forsaken you. So, you now get Umbral Soul at 35. That is shortly after you actually switch to Black Mage. I want to say you don't even have max 3 notches yet. I want to say in 3 notches of Astral Fire and Umbral Ice are slightly after that, but I'm not 100%. That actually might be the same level now that I think about it. Red Mage. Manification. The duration has now been doubled. We go from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. This I can speak intelligently on. 100%. So, as Red Mage, we have what is referred to as the melee combo. We do our 1, 2, 3. Whether that's now either AoE or your single target. All right. Each of those is a 1.5 second recast time. So, 1 hit, 1.5 seconds. Second hit, 3 seconds. Your third hit, that actually doesn't get the 1.5, that gets 2.5. So now we're at a total of 3 seconds plus 2.5. We are at 5.5 seconds. Then you cast Verflare over Holy based on whichever mana you're lowest on. We'll just say Verflare. That's another 2.5 seconds. You have now gone up to 8 seconds. Scorch, that's another 2.5 seconds. You are now at 11 seconds. And then Resolution. You are now at 13.5 seconds. For Red Mage, you had to get all 6 of these in during the Manification window in order to use your new Capstone skill, which was an OGCD that was only available after you consumed all 6 Manifications. If there's anything that prevents you from doing a melee attack for more than 1 GCD, or you just flub and don't have perfect uptime, you lose 900 potency on top of whatever you lost for not being optimal. This was massive. This was massively punishing. To see this go from 15 to 30 seconds, fantastic. If I need 30 seconds to get the whole melee combo in, I'm already a failure. But at least I'm not a failure down 900 potency. Instead, I'm just down however much my failure is. Good stuff. Astro. Lightspeed got changed to having a maximum of 2 charges, and the recast timer now is 90 to 60 seconds. They mentioned that for Astro, part of their burst window involved Lightspeed, which makes all their spells instacast under like, I think 5 seconds is what it is. So this now means they have momentum during their 2-minute window, but more importantly, they have more time in between their, we'll just call it ruin for the sake of it, between their, no, it's, what is it, Malefic, during their Malefic casts, that they can now weave in OGCDs to keep people up, or more importantly, get the buff cards out. Astral Draw and Umbral Draw have been reduced to 55 seconds. This gives you a little bit of flex so that if you are slightly off with cards, you're not falling, you're not, you know, after a few, you're not completely desynced from the 2-minute meta when the time comes around. Then Macrocosmos had its potency increased. I do not know Macrocosmos. My Astro is not high enough to have Macrocosmos. I think this might just be a change to have its potency match whatever the current version of Malefic is. So that's that. Now, more changes to Monk, because of course there are. The maximum stacks of Raptor's Fury has been reduced from 2 to 1, and Coral's Fury has been reduced from 3 to 2. I don't know how to feel about this. I just don't. So this now guarantees, unless Formless Stance doesn't let you get Opal's Fury from your first Dragon Kick, that you're never gonna line up with it being all one row or all the other. And when I say all one row, my own HUD that I use for Monk has like all of the what I refer to as rear attacks, even though only one's a rear anymore, on one side, and then all the flank attacks on the other side. Flank gives more damage, rear buffs your flanks. That's just all there is to it. New raid dungeon, the AAC lightweight tier has been added. Man, my title card saying Arcadian looks really lame by comparison. So we'll see how that is. I will be streaming it at 7:30. Well, today, technically. It's going to be PM. It's going to require average item level 685. So if you haven't gotten any... Oh, wait a minute. That actually means anyone can take part. As long as you've done experts enough to get green jewelry, I'm pretty sure you're fine. God, did I say it was going to be $3.95 to people who had? I think I did. How was I off by 10? Oh well. So 685 is taking part. I'm pretty sure they're going to go ahead and talk about it. Let's take a look here. Treasure coffers that appear upon claiming AAC lightweight will not yield gear, but instead yield gear tokens. Of your choosing, you can only receive 1 token per match each week. So 8 pieces will drop. You have to roll on which ones you want. Body and legs are going to be 4 tokens each. Head, hands, feet are going to be 2 tokens each, and each accessory is going to be 1 token. These should be item level 710. I do not believe they actually say. Yeah, I don't think they actually tell us here what the minimum level, what the item level is for that, but it should match what's going to be crafted, which is going to be 710. 720 is going to be your cap tombstone gear, and then 730 is going to be your savage. 735 is going to be your savage weapon. I'll probably have some like ranty sort of thing that people will hate later on, talking about my thoughts about the gearing system, but you know, that's just me. All I'm doing is add into normal raid roulettes. That's going to be M1, M2, M3, M4. I wasn't sure if we were going to call it Arc 1, Arc 2, Arc 3, Arc 4. For it, that's what I've been telling people. That, you know, we're going to be doing Arc 1S and whatnot. I wonder if people are going to start calling it M1, M2, M3, M4. Or AAC1. It's going to be interesting to see what the community adopts I'm willing to bet whatever I said is going to be wrong. Following trials been added to Stone Ski and what the frick? Stone, Sky, and Sea. Of course, that's going to be Arcadian, our first tier, the light heavyweight round. The targeting ring for no positionals needed has changed a little bit. I don't think this was really necessary, but I can't hate it. There's been quite a few times actually, just during flipping Bosja, as I'm leveling up my melee. I'm like getting into positions, trying to hit positionals, and then halfway through remember, oh right, positionals aren't real in Bosja. So if you're looking for this, these little rectangles, I guess, in the targeting ring, hey, good for you. You can now actually know that, in fact, your positionals do not matter. You'll just automatically get the bonus. New items have been added. I guess these are our Arcadian sets. The funny thing is that we were teased on like some super sci-fi stuff, and we just all assumed, hey, that's going to be our stuff that we get for Arcadian, because it was all futuristic sci-fi. Anyone who has gone and done gear hunting on the new leveling dungeons in Dawn Trail, you'll know that in fact all that gear drops from, I want to say it's all exclusive to the Vanguard. And we've now learned that, yep, this is all here. I'm actually surprised at, for a raid tier that's going to be like taking place in the cyberpunk world of Solution 9, that does actually look like fairly standard and fairly normal looking Final Fantasy gear. They're all long coats too, which I love me long coats. I don't know how I feel about the hood though. The furnishing stone partition can now be dyed. Neat. Requirements to access the script exchange in Tuliolo have been changed. So speaking with what's her face in Solution 9, you now must speak with Go West. You must complete the quest Go West Craftsman. I do not remember what that quest is. New minions have been added. No surprise. It's from the raid. Probably one minion. Let's also be honest there. System. Our instances are going to start vanishing. Tuliolo will only have 2 instances. Urkropacha is going down to 3, and Koza is going down to 3. The reason these were at 6 is because the MSQ basically had 2 full, and I do mean full, quest lines in these areas. So you double dipped in these areas, and you double dipped into them hard. So they wanted to make sure you had twice as much, because every other instance is still 3. Old Charlie Inn is no longer separated into multiple instances. New achievement and titles have been added. New trophies have been added for the consoles. New music and sound effects have been added. Again, pretty much all of this is related to the raids. We have a few resolved issues, to which we say, yay. There's an issue during certain MSQ instance battles added in 7.0 where people could progress under certain conditions. Wow. Issue undertaking 90 trials where players would not be awarded experience points upon completion. I'm just glancing through these. I don't think I've ever had this. An issue when undertaking 90, 93, 95, 97 instance dungeons as Paladin, wherein players were awarded gear they had already obtained. So it sounds like you could have bypassed the unique modifier. Oopsie daisy. An issue when undertaking the 95 instant dungeon, where incorrect gear was rewarded upon completion as Dragoon or Reaper. I do like the fact they're like not saying what the names of the dungeons are yet. That's nice. As your description of PvE monks action thunderclap erroneously stated as maximum charge is 2 instead of 3. There's a lot of like little text based things that I've noticed. Issue during critical conflict where motion for Viper Swiftcast was incorrect under certain circumstances. That's now been changed. And a whole bunch of other ones. Known issues. An issue where the fade out timing is incorrect or an orchestration role added in 7.0 when playing in a playlist. I noticed this. I noticed this with some of the newer tracks, that it would get decently into a loop and then finally switch. And it sounds like that's now gotten worse because now new ones are doing it too. Now keep in mind, in 2 weeks, we get 7.05. All right. In 7.05, we're going to be seeing a lot of job tweaks. We're going to be seeing Savage come in. We're going to be seeing the Master Recipe books come in. We're going to be seeing the Treasure Trove dungeon come in. We're going to be the Treasure Trove dungeon, the Treasure Map dungeon appear. We're going to be seeing a lot. In addition, we're going to be seeing a lot of job tweaks. We're talking about positionals on Viper. Everyone, I don't know why, but everyone just assumed we were going to be seeing those now. We're seeing them in 2 weeks. I guarantee you they're going to be paying attention to how people are playing with Viper and determine whether these positional changes are required or not. But I mean, my biggest complaint as Red Mage, amplification, I would have been happy if this just went to 20 seconds. They've gone above and beyond what I wanted and went to 30, which great for the newbies. If I need those extra 10 seconds, I f***ed up. I f***ed up hard. And I shouldn't need that. But, you know, I'm grateful regardless. One last thing I'll say, though. They have done nothing with Pictomancer yet. I foresee some nerfs coming to Picto because they have overtuned that job a metric ton. I actually even said on stream on Sunday that right now, because Picto can shove out so much DPS in a burst. First off, I mean, that was the main reason why this increased MD thing happened. Literally on my warrior, I'd go in, do my normal rotation, and I go ahead and drop down extra GCDs per pull. All right. I will onslaught in, drop overpower, then do orogeny, and then do Mithril Tempest to make sure I am holding aggro for holding as much aggro as I can. That way, any crazed lunatics that are going to drop all their instacasts, which I do on Red Mage all the time, by the way, between pulls, to ensure they're not going to rip aggro off me. And in all of Endwalker, never had a problem. Unless I was the Red Mage. Unless I was playing Red Mage, in which, yes, I ripped aggro off tons of tanks in between pulls. And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of funny. Because they just went ahead and did slap one, move on. Even doing my strat of Overpower, Orangey, and Mithril Tempest into each dungeon pull pack, and I want to stress, this is just for the 4-man dungeons. I don't think I've ever done this, of course, in pretty much any other kind of content. On Warrior, anyway. Even doing that, getting 2 GCDs in and an Orogeny worth of enmity, which knowing my luck, Orogeny does absolutely no additional enmity, but I digress. Picto was still able to rip aggro off me. In fact, right now, Picto can push out so much damage that in Bozja right now is basically dead content unless you're in a group with a bunch of Pictos. Because Pictos can just go ahead and pop lost abilities, increase their potency even more. And you can start seeing like boss skirmishes, them lose 40% of their HP in one GCD. It is ridiculous. It was so frustrating that me as machinist, I could not get in enough damage to get anything over silver. And in fact, a lot of times I got bronze. And if you know anything about Bozja, that is half to 90% of your EXP you're losing because of that. It basically made Bozja a non-starter for that sort of, for trying to level. Like Bozja as leveling content, because Picto is so overtuned, is dead. Unless you're in with other Pictos. That's not fun. It really isn't. And it makes me rather go ahead and just do the frickin' DPS dungeon crew and just do fates in the meantime. It's awful. So that's all I got for this one. We got more than I thought we were going to as far as changes, but we'll see how everything goes through the Arcadian. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you live, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon, or right here on YouTube, youtube.com/EagleFalcon. Take care, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.